Good morning, everybody. It is yerba mate with a therapist this morning because I will get my coffee a little bit later. I want to talk about episode 3 of Netflix's The Ultimatum, Marry Them or Leave Them, from the MFT perspective, marriage and family therapist perspective. Episode 3 was really interesting. This is right when we were figuring out everyone's choices and when Lauren and Nate got engaged as well, in addition to Alexis and Hunter. So Alexis and Hunter just got engaged. I think everybody was kind of thrown off by that and not feeling like maybe they didn't really go through this whole process. And then when it came down to April's choice, or not April's choice, Colby's choice, he chose Lauren, and they both talked about how they both felt things were natural, and Nate proposes to Lauren. I think based on the events of what he stated, not just that day, but even in the dates prior, he was going to choose different people. I felt like his choices kept changing. He literally whispered to Madeline that he was going to choose her. And this was, again, 10 minutes before he proposed to Lauren. So I'm not gonna lie, I don't know that, again, given the context, I don't know if it was 100% from a healthy place that he proposed to Lauren. I'm guessing it's from a place of fear. And even in the context, he was talking about how scared he was, how he's going to crap his pants. So in a moment of fear, he asked her to marry him, and she accepted. Again, it'd be interesting to know more about the context of their relationship. I'm a little surprised she accepted, but I don't know the full context of what she was looking for. And maybe she really did feel like, okay, this was enough to get him to a space where he would be okay with the fact that I don't really want to have kiddos. I don't know. Again, I'm going to put it out there. I don't think they were ready for that proposal. I don't think it was the right context. Now, in the context of their relationship, maybe, but I'm a little disappointed in Nate that he proposed to her at that moment, because it definitely seemed to be from a place of fear and not from a place of really being ready and having thought it through and really coming to terms with how he felt about their relationship and her wants and her needs and his wants and his needs when it came to having kiddos. So that was really interesting to me. I will say I'm starting to see different parts of these humans come out, specifically with April. I don't think she was wrong in saying that, it was very uncomfortable for her and she's fully embracing the process, and it's a little bit uncomfortable to see all these other people that are not embracing the process. But I think she has a part of her that needs other people to be going through the same thing that she is, or just it kind of forces its opinion onto other people. It'd be one thing if she kind of shared her feelings and that she was hurt, but it almost seemed like she was there to hold people accountable. Colby had a little piece of that too. He asked questions and he wanted to know. I think he was he was not as aggressive and out there as April, but April definitely has an anxiety that leads her to needing to have answers from other people and needing for them to explain themselves when they do things that she does not like. And so I just thought that was an interesting part of her that came out. I could tell that her partner, or previous partner at least in the moment, Jake, was definitely shutting down. In that moment, you could tell there's a part of him that's like, ugh, I've seen this before and this is hard to watch her go through this. So she definitely seems like she kind of needs for people to hear her out, and just has this part of her that needs other people to answer to their wrongdoings. And even if they're uncomfortable, she's like, no, I need to speak this truth. And I'm like, there are parts of it of what you said that weren't wrong, but the way that we go about things matter, the way that we communicate things, and also realizing that we cannot control other people. And if they do things that we don't agree with, and even if we're going through things and we're going through it out of our own choosing, it almost seems like she needs other people to validate her process of going through this hard process. And it's like, well, I think if you're really doing it for you, it doesn't matter what other people do. It doesn't matter if they also go through this hard process and take it as seriously as you do. And so I thought it was interesting that she was kind of like, I feel like keeping herself on the hook by also keeping them on the hook. Now the episode kind of digs into everybody and their first nights with each other. You can tell that with April and Colby, they say things like, let's get the most out of it, but you definitely can tell that they are not as connected as the others are. They're not really feeling like, okay, this is going to be a good process for you and I to go through together. So I feel like they almost have like a common enemy intimacy is maybe not the right term, but they're almost bonding on the fact that they're upset about things, or they're bonding on the fact that they're in this experience. It's not really genuine, deep bonds between the two of them. Ray and Jake, I felt, were the most kind of genuinely connected. They were feeling guilty. And even if you hear the languaging, some of the couples, you'd hear them say things like, oh, for the next 3 weeks. And then other couples would say things like, you know, how would you see this long term? And if we were married? And so you can tell even in the languaging, some of them are thinking more long term than the 3 weeks, while others are definitely seeing this as a 3-week experiment. And yeah, Madeline and Randall are starting to connect. You can definitely start to see that Madeline, the physical part of a relationship, is incredibly important to her. It almost seems like they, from the get-go, are also talking about their partners and what is lacking. Same thing with Shanique and Say, whereas I felt like Ray and Jake were more about each other. So again, I think that their intimacy and connection it was a bit more genuine than the others. And so I will be curious to see how all of this plays out. Hopefully, too, I can sprinkle in a little bit of what we know from Dr. John Gottman's research and what we've seen clinically as far as different patterns. Again, this is not therapy. I'm not therapizing these people. I'm just pointing out perspectives, patterns, and would love your feedback. If you guys have any questions or comments, please post them below, and I will definitely do some follow-up videos if there are major themes or questions that you guys have.